world of flavor, fruity freshness in every sip.
Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology will celebrate its 18th graduation ceremony on Friday, 9th December 2022 at the University Graduation Square. The university shall release graduates with market-driven skills in the technical, arts and sciences fields. The ceremony will be live on NTV and the university social media pages from 10 a.m. Graduation theme: mainstreaming science, technology and innovation for sustainable development. Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, the university of choice.
On this week's episode of The Best Of.
It's like a spa and shave all rolled into one manly shave with a blade.
We are on the cutting edge of grooming.
If I'm charging you 1,500 for a beard shave, it's because the products I'm using are also premium.
We showcase the trendsetters, trusted by trendsetters.
In 2015, Nili participated in a competition and win a Barber of the Year. And Nili votiwa kama pia Hairstylist of the Year.
And we cut to the chase on the chairs of the best of barbers.
Go is about thriving, reaching for the stars. It's about exploring new ideas, securely and safely, from the palm of your hands. It's go time with M-Pesa Go.
Kenya's petroleum industry has proven resilient even as the sector has come under the weight of a series of shocks, including the disruption of supply chains brought about by COVID-19 and spillovers from the Russia-Ukraine war, which have occasioned a general escalation of costs in the operating environment. How can stakeholders further advance the gains realized in future-proofing this sector? How can the policy environment be designed to facilitate investment and promote growth of the sector? With the new petroleum pricing regulations now gazetted, what do they portend for the industry? Join us live on the 8th of December between 2 and 3:30 p.m. as NTV hosts a Nation Leadership Forum placing the spotlight on emerging issues in this sector.
Indonesia has banned premarital sex and unmarried couples from staying together. Basically, as we speak, major parts of Thika Road, that is from Roysambu to Juja, are illegal in Indonesia. Now,
Na earn 6K na so sifanyi job lakini napewa 6K pengine ka ile ara au naweza nigezi manage aje
6000. Kuna mshahara nyingine nilisema si lazima uishi kwa nyumba.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
This is NTV.
Well, a very good morning to you. Happy Thursday. I hope that you are well and welcome to a brighter start to the day. Welcome to the show. This is AM Live. My name is Winnie Lubem, and of course we have a lot in store for you, being a Thursday, and of course we all know what usually happens on Thursday. It's All Matters Women, and today we'll be discussing something that is very important to all the women You must know this. This is when it comes to vaccination or immunizations in pregnancy. There's a lot of conversation around the same. A lot of people feel it is not safe to, get vaccinated during pregnancy, but of course, there are recommendations according to the WHO as well as the Ministry of Health. So we'll be delving into that conversation a little bit later. But for now, let's take a look at some of the stories that we have so far. And Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Party leader, led by Raila Odinga, has actually poked holes into President William Ruto's first 100 days in office. In Azimio's first public engagement rally held at the Kamukunji grounds here in Nairobi, Odinga rubbished the newly unveiled Hustlers Fund, saying that it actually falls short of the people's expectations. The opposition coalition has also vowed to protect the remaining commissioners, saying that any attempts to alter how the electoral body is constituted will be resisted. NTV's Ibrahim Karanja reports.
Even before President William Ruto's administration clocks its first 100 days, the Azimio Brigade is sounding opposition drumbeats, ready for a duel. The bone of contention from the Raila Odinga-led coalition being what it calls unfulfilled promises by the Ruto administration. Top on the agenda, the cost of living and the delay in lowering prices of commodities.
Gharama maisha imepanda. Si imepanda kabisa. Maisha imepanda sana. Chakula iko kali. Bei ya nauli ya kusafiri iko kali. Kodi ya nyumba ndio hiyo.
Odinga, who maintains that he was robbed of his win in the August 9th polls, coming to the defense of besieged IEBC commissioners.
Hawa ma-commissioners wanne tunataka mpaka warudishwe pale wako. Warudishwe pale. Alupa na Ruto mpaka azuiliwe kuteua tume ingine ya uchaguzi ambayo ni yake ni kama kargosi yake. Kama amefanya namna hiyo, kutakuwa kuna uchaguzi katika taifa letu. Tumeelewana vizuri? Tumeelewana vizuri? Sasa haya ni maneno ambayo tutaangalia mwaka ikianza.
Hao makamishna walitumia haki yao ya kusema la. Tukikubali hao makamishna waende, hakuna mtu atafuatilia haki yake hii Kenya. Utafinyiliwa ukiwa kwa board, chairman wako aseme ndio, huwezi ukasema la.
The leaders also poked holes into the recently launched Hustler Fund, drawing parallels with Odinga's promise of social protection of a monthly 6,000 shillings.
Sisi tulisema nguruwe sita. Si mnajua? Tungaje nguruwe sita? Mjue sasa hii ambayo mpatia nyinyi ni deposit ile nguruwe sita. Wakitoa chukua. Lakini hapana sema asante. Maana yake ni mali yenu, sio? Mwambie tena kesho nitarudi, sio? Lakini hapana kusema asante.
Pesa ya Hustler Fund haijaidhinishwa na bunge. Hiyo ni kinyume cha sheria. Mawaziri wale wamechaguliwa, historia yao ukiangalia hawafai kikatiba.
Treasury haijaidhinisha. You have a duty to explain to this country. Hizi pesa mmezitoa wapi? Wangapi wanasema tunataka tujue?
Terming the government as dictatorial, Azimio vowed to oppose every move that they deem unfavorable for the country, even as they maintain that the Azimio promises will come to pass.
With a firm promise for parallel Jamhuri Day celebrations on the 12th of December, Raila Odinga has issued a notice to President William Ruto, stating that they do not need any permission from his government to either converge or demonstrate.
Sio lazima tuende kwa sherehe ya mtu mwingine. Rais atakuwa na sherehe yake kule Nyayo Stadium. Lakini sisi na Wakenya wenzetu tutaenda kule Jacaranda Grounds.
Wakati ukifika tuhitaji maandamano, William Ruto hatutakuuliza ruhusa, tutaenda maandamano.
Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
Wakati ukifika.
Well, thanks, Ibrahim. And elsewhere, Machakos University has been closed indefinitely following the death of a student and riots over insecurity around the institution. Vice-Chancellor Professor Lucy Rungu made the announcement yesterday in an internal memo circulated to students and varsity staff. This comes after the confirmation that a student who was reportedly shot by police during Monday's riots had died. NTV's Rukia Bule reports.
The university's closure came after yet another round of riots by Machakos University students. Things got worse after news filtered through that a student who had been allegedly shot by a police officer during previous demonstrations on Monday died while receiving treatment at the Machakos Level 5 hospital on Wednesday morning.
Wakapiga student risasi. Hiyo student amekufa leo asubuhi. Tutanyamaza tuangalie hapa tunyamaze. Hatuwezi nyamaza na tunauliwa kila siku until tuko assured security kwa hapa.
So sad, we are mourning. And actually, we were just demonstrating peacefully. But what the cops are doing, they come throwing to us tear gas. They are the one who compelling us to be like this.
Students then went on the rampage once more, lighting fires and barricading the road using huge rocks. An internal memo was later sent out to all students of Machakos University, alerting them that the school has been closed and that they should vacate the school premises immediately.
Amewawa na polisi, mwingine amewawa na wezi. Sasa polisi wenye wanafaa tusaidie ndio hao ndio wanatuua. This is not fair.
The Machakos County Commissioner had moved to assure the students the measures were put in place to curb crime in the area.
Watu wawili waliumizwa na walikatwa na panga, na mmoja aliwekwa kisu, lakini tumeshika hawa na tumepeleka kotini.
The police officer who shot and seriously wounded the Machakos University student was arrested on Tuesday. Rukia Bule, NTV.
And let's stick with education matters, where the move by the government that is to abolish boarding primary schools continues to elicit mixed reactions. Education officials and parents are questioning the rationale of that decision, saying it will have dire effects on pupils and parents. However, the Kenya National Union of Teachers (NUT) has applauded the move. NTV's Fatma Bugu reports from the annual Head Teachers Summit in Mombasa.
The other side. That's the announcement by the Minister of Education on the abolishment of boarding schools from grade 1 to grade 9 is drawing mixed reactions from various stakeholders.
So the idea of the government of having boarding schools abolished to Kenya National Union of Teachers is most welcome, because we must make education affordable to every other parent.
Our primary schools, 95% are day schools, so there is nothing to scrap. It is only 5% probably who are in boarding school. We are saying the best way is the majority, where we have day schools.
Any changes, wacha iende na utaratibu. Secondly, serikali na katiba yetu inasema mambo ya public participation is very, very important.
The ministry is, however, expected to implement the move gradually to ease the burden of parents and schools.
Sio jambo la kufanywa mara moja. Ni jambo ambalo litaendelea pole pole mpaka kifikie mahali kwamba tunasema hatuna shule za mabweni.
Kama mzazi atarudi kwa mfuko, kwanza msahau tafadhali. Sababu ukisema boarding, tutoe watoto boarding, wapeleke kwa nyumbani na watoto wamezoea.
Some stakeholders are calling for a hybrid system.
Boardings spend a lot of parents' money and government money to put up. If you see you abolish these schools, then it will be quite an undoing for the Kenyan population.
Wengi, especially town areas, they are very busy kwa biashara zao, wengine wameajiriwa kazi. Kwa hivyo wana wakati mwema sana na watoto wao. Kwa hivyo inakuwa jambo la busara wakiwa pale boarding school.
Serikali inafaa itupilie jambo bali sana na iwache kuingilia mambo na boarding school. Sababu mzazi ndiye anachagua whether kama ataingiza mtoto boarding school ama atampeleka day school.
So I don't think the government has ulterior motive to affect parents in a negative way. But what we must say, education must be affordable. It is not affordable in boarding schools.
The The government is citing congestion due to progressive primary education and the 100% transition policy as key drivers of the removal of boarding primary school. Fatma Bugu, NTV, Mombasa.
And elsewhere, the Anti-Corruption Court has acquitted former Kenya Pipeline Company Managing Director Joe Sang and 5 former managers charged with 3 counts relating to the loss of 1.9 billion shillings from the Kisumu oil jetty. Magistrate Victor Wakumile threw out the case, citing lack of evidence. The accused were charged with abuse of office, engaging in a project without prior planning, and willful failure to comply with applicable procedures and guidelines relating to management of public funds on various dates between June 2016 and June 2017. The judgment noted that the project was conceived back in 2006 when most of the accused persons had not been employed at the company.
Now, before processing payments, SCP confirms that all funds to pay these certificates are in order, and that was done in the KOJ case. So if the system confirmed that all was in order, why again do we charge him? Because the system would actually reject payment if any one or any of the procedures had been flawed. Therefore, again, I won't go into, basically, that is why the count against him failed. The system is there to keep and check. If one stage has been jumped, then it won't be approved. So that is why there was every approval. It means everything was okay. Therefore, the count against six accused person also fails. So in a nutshell, the entire case against accused 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 collapses under section 215 CPC.
And former Kamkunji OCS Chief Inspector Samir Yunus has been charged in a Nairobi court with raping a policewoman at Dandora Police Station 3 years ago. Yunus was arrested on Monday amid allegations of abusing male and female officers and was detained at Capitol Hill Police Station. He was released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings or a bond of $500,000 shillings. Here's NTV's Rose Ongoe with more details.
Samir Aduman Yunus, a former OCS, was arraigned at the Milimani Law Courts on Wednesday. Yunus, who appeared before Milimani Chief Magistrate Wendy Kagendo, was arrested 2 days ago over claims of sexual harassment, abuse of office and intimidation. The officer is accused of raping a policewoman whose name was withheld for legal reasons when he was the officer commanding at the Dandora Police Station. Yunus is said to have taken advantage of his position and authority to sexually abuse his junior officer at the station on June 15, 2019. However, Yunus denied the offense and his lawyer David Ayu applied for him to be released in reasonable bond terms, arguing that he is a senior police officer who is in service. He was released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings or a bond of 500,000 shillings.
And looking at the charge sheet before me, it looks valid and legal, and therefore we'll proceed and take the plea as the matter in the High Court proceeds, and we await what the judge is going to decide.
When the allegations first came up in 2020, a number of female officers recorded statements, but action was not taken against the officer. He was instead transferred to Pangani Police Station and later to Mombasa Police Station. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, also launched investigations into the allegations at the time. The case will be mentioned for pre-trial on December 31st, 2022. Rozongoi, NTV.
And over the years, residents of Laikipia West have suffered huge losses from wild animal attacks. Marauding elephants, baboons, hyenas, and sometimes even lions often descend on farms, leaving a trail of destruction and sometimes death. The Kenya Wildlife Service has now released 2.5 billion shillings for compensation to victims of human-wildlife conflicts across the country. And TV's Margaret Kimathi reports.
This is Limunga village in the county of Laikipia. Here, we meet Collins Kogo at his 3-acre maize farm, checking his crops which are almost ready for harvest. Collins says over the years, he has incurred heavy losses following destruction of crops by elephants.
So one time nilikuwa nimelima eka 2 hapa ya shamba. Na kwa sababu hakukuwa na ua, hiyo ndovu ilivamia hiyo shamba ikaisha. So hasara ambayo niliweza kupata ni hasara ambayo wewe mwenyewe unaweza fanya hesabu. Ya eka 2 ya mahindi ikiwa imemalizwa na ndovu ikaisha.
Nimepotesha majirani 3 kwa ajali ya ndovu, na pia nimepata injury ya mtu mmoja kijana ambaye alirudi baadaye akafa. Nafikiri kutoka tuna majeruhi hayo. Kwa hivyo tulikuwa watu wako na shida kabisa. Hatukuwa tunapata chochote kwa mashamba, tulikuwa tunaadhiriwa na njaa, tunaadhiriwa na umaskini kwa sababu hatukuwa tunauza chochote kutoka kwa mashamba yetu.
Another farmer, Richard Simiu, recalls days when he and other villagers would camp near their farms to stop elephants from destroying their crops.
Ilifika wakati mwingine hatuwezi kaa kwa manyumba. Sasa tukawa manyumba tumewachia tu mama zetu wale wazee, ili sasa tukae kule pembeni ili tuweze kuwazuia ndovu wasiingie kwa mashamba. So wakati yani ulikuwa tu mgumu kiasi mpaka kusomesha ikawa ni ngumu.
Laikipia County has been a hotspot for great human-wildlife conflict, but this trend is now changing after the erection of an electric fence which stretches from Nyahururu to Rumuruti.
Farmers in Laikipia West have got a reprieve as the fence has somewhat deterred wildlife from reaching their farms.
Wakati iliwekwa mpaka wa leo hatujai lala nje. So mnaona mahindi vile imekaa vizuri. Hatujai lala nje. At least uko na matumaini ukilima shamba yako unaweza kuvuna upate faida ambayo unapata.
It is a 54-kilometer fence that as we speak today is near completion. We are just putting in place the fixtures to support the fence, and by fixtures I mean there are areas like for every 8 kilometers within the fence line we construct what is called a guard post, in which staff would be for maintaining the fence will be staying in there. So that is ongoing.
The government has released funds to compensate victims. In Laikipia County, at least 400 human-wildlife conflict victims are expected to be compensated after their claims were reviewed by Wildlife Management and Compensation Committee.
Nationally, Treasury has set aside about 2.5 billion shillings to compensate various cases. They range from livestock predation, they range from crop destruction, property damage, human injury, as well as human loss.
The residents were cautioned against destroying the fence to reach grazing land, as these actions were compromising efforts to minimize human-wildlife conflict. Margaret Kimathi, NTV in Laikipia County.
All right, thank you very much, Margaret. And of course, very quickly, before we take a look at what's on the dailies today, very quickly, here's what you can expect throughout the day, what will be happening. And of course, first things first, the president will actually be touring the western region, and that is on our news diary, like I said, what you have to expect today. And then we'll also have the Bungoma Senatorial Ballot Day, which will be happening today. And of course, we have our very own Sydney Chazima on the ground. And then the National Assembly Special Sitting again will be happening. We'll also have the KUSI Summit on climate change actually kicks off today, and of course all matters climate change, the discussions will be there. The president is also expected as the chief guest at the ceremony. And then we also have AfriCorg to review the 2022 GE as well as the ESCCS to open induction for EALA MPs. So that is what will be happening today, but be sure to again stay tuned to NTV because we'll be getting all this throughout the day and in our subsequent bulletins. But very quickly, on to what's happening on the dailies. And of course, we'll begin with the Daily Nation. And of course, right over here, what you can see, the headline reads, MPs in a fix over opposition office. Of course, continues to say politics, that is as far as politics is concerned, the president said to be keen to avoid a referendum in the creation of the new office. But there's a dilemma where the President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza Alliance is facing a very big headache to avoid a costly referendum in its bid to create a powerful office for Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga. Of course, that conversation has been happening, throughout the day yesterday. And aside from that, that story, you'll actually find it on page 4. But something that also happened is the Kenya and the UK launched a new city housing project where the president, with the United Kingdom Secretary of State for Foreign Commonwealth and Development Affairs, James Cleverly, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as well were together with them during the launch of the new city housing project. Remember, the housing project is one of the president's, or as one Kenya Kwanza's, one of the agenda that actually spoke about, and that is as far as affordable housing is concerned. And still on the front page of the Daily Nation, of course, still as far as the politics is concerned, Raila's New Year battle with Ruto and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga actually yesterday, set a stage for a major showdown that is with President William Ruto's administration that is warning of what will be happening. And very quickly what it says, let me just get it right. It says, warning of a mass action beginning next month should the head of state fail to address their list of 9 demands. And of course, they have 9 demands. That story continues on page 5. So that is what is happening on the first page of the Daily Nation. Of course, the story continues. Let's try get this. Yes. And of course, there's also the university closed. This is after a student protested death of their colleague. And of course, we actually ran that story. And something else that's still on the dailies, that is the NAT, that is Kenya National Union of Teachers, actually backs boarding primary schools ban. And of course, that story is actually on the front page of the Standard. And just to make sure we get clear what the front page says, so it's not the front page, but what NAT is actually saying is that many parents have left their responsibilities to teachers. In fact, they wish that all their children to be in boarding schools. Many of us don't know our children. That is according to Mr. Julius Meli, who says as far as NAT is concerned, the boarding schools, ban of the same is good, because according to the Basic Education PS, that is Belio Kipsang, public boarding schools make up less than 5% of all the schools in the country. All right. And of course, that story is on the 3rd page of the Daily Nation. And then something else, that is still on the Daily Nation that you might want, to actually be keen on the same, is Ruto's big referendum dilemma. And this is in a bid to craft an office for Raila Odinga. And of course, yesterday there was a lot of conversation around the same, where the proposed legislation, which already has the government's backing, is yet to be introduced in Parliament, although the president has already told his troops to support it. All right, what does that mean? Well, actually continues, it touches on the sovereignty of Kenyans and affects how Parliament operates, and this too of the 10 areas that call for determination through referendum. So the president, that is President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza Alliance, is facing a very big headache to avoid a costly referendum in its bid to create a powerful office, again, like we said, for Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga. And according to the legal experts, the creation of the office of the leader of opposition is currently proposed is set to affect the structure of the executive and composition of Parliament, both protected clauses in the Constitution and the demand that any amendment should be approved by the people in a popular referendum. So that story is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. You might want to go through it and just see what the complexities are as far as that is concerned, but still on the same. There's also Azimio's, ultimatum that is to the head of state. Let me just try to zoom that out so that we can see. Over there. All right. So this is the ultimatum that is for Raila Odinga's, and that is as far as to the president is concerned, where it says, as far as the composition of the Parliament, both of which demand that any amendment should be subjected to a referendum. And remember, the referendum conversation is not a new thing. We have that, over and over again. And of course, now the Azimio's leader, that is Raila Odinga, still calls for the same. If there are any amendments to be made, again, should be subjected through referendum. All right. And then elsewhere, that is a 3-horse Senate race as Bungoma votes. And remember, like we said, we have our very own Sydney Chazima on the ground. We have a UDA candidate. We have Ford Kenya candidate, as well as that is Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Coalition Party, which again are looking to snatch the seat from the Kenya Kwanza alliance. And according to the county police boss, that is Francis Colley, says our officers will be dispatched to all the polling stations while others will be patrolling in the region. So the county, that is Bungoma County, 646,612 voters that will be going to the polls today to elect their senator in what has boiled down to a three-horse race, like we said, pitting President William Ruto, opposition leader Raila Odinga, as well as the National Assembly Speaker, that is Moses Wetangula. Remember, we said Ford Kenya will also have the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, as well as the UDA. All of them have fielded candidates, and of course, we'll be joining our very own Sydney Chazima when he's ready to just give us a state of what is happening, you know, at the different polling stations in Bungoma. All right, so that is what you'll be expecting throughout the day, as far as you know, the polls are ongoing. But still something else, that is the State Malls Eldoret airport expansion, where the government will need 15 hectares for the runway and further 19.74 hectares to build a hangar facility. So that story again is on the Daily Nation. You might want to go through it as well, just to see the project, because again the cost of expanding the airport has not yet been disclosed, and that Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, did not however disclose to the National Assembly's Transport and Infrastructure Committee that is chaired by dear Member of Parliament, that is George Kariuki, what the project will cost the government, including acquiring 15 hectares for the runway and an additional 19.74 hectares as well, that is to construct the hangar. All right, so that is what is on the Daily Nation. Very quickly, let's take a look at what the Standard has as far as, you know, the headline reads, and of course, you know, reads Raila's 10 tough demands for Ruto. All right, and of course that continues to say in its first major public engagement after August 9th polls, the opposition flexes muscle and asks the president that the president returns to the people agenda by reinstating scrap subsidies, enhancing social safety net, and halting unilateral IEBC reconstruction. So that is what is on the front page, and amongst you know, the 10 demands is the cost of living, and of course, you know, the president is needed to reduce the cost of living of basic commodities rather by restoring subsidies of unga, fuel, as well as electricity. And then the school fees you know, agenda or issue is that to restore the subsidy that saw the ministry reduce fees in all secondary and special needs school. Then the third one is Pesa ya Wazee, where you know, the Azimio, you know, leader wants the president to enhance social safety net, cash transfer to the elderly, and Linda Mama, that is the maternity program. And of course, the fourth one is the roadside declaration, where, you know, he's needed to institute discipline and order in government ranks for clarity on critical policy issues. And then the fifth one, that is the new IEBC too, and of course the president is required or needed, according to Azimio One Kenya Coalition leader, to reinstate 4 commissioners before embarking on an inclusive and consultative process of reconstituting the IEBC. And then number 6 is Face of Kenya, to ensure all composition of civil service reflects on Kenya's ethnic, regional, religious, and as well as gender diversity. Then number 7 is Kazi Mtaani, where, you know, he is required to restore Kazi Mtaani programs while pursuing other options such as affordable housing, jobs. And then no to GMOs, a very big conversation or debate that has been dominating you know, the headlines for a while now. And of course, you know, he says to abandon plans to introduce GM crops and seeds because of grave danger that they pose. And then of course the 9th you know, demand is freedom is here, and says reverse collapse of the criminal justice system that has seen DPP drop cases to highly placed suspects. And the last one is the Hustler Fund, which was recently launched. And of course, it says constituted in line with the rule of law, youth who cannot pay and of course will not have to pay. So that is the 10 demands, you know, that the Azimio One Kenya Coalition, you know, leader Raila Odinga has, as far as, you know, the president is concerned. That is what is on the front page of the Standard. And then something else that again, dominated the headlines is the KNH story. Where the family row rather, of how many to or who may be to blame for the baby's death. Remember the story of a very young boy who unfortunately died, after a fork jembe was actually launched into his head. Now there are new, revelations towards the same, and it's not the brother, but it is the dad who is, accused of the same. And of course, that was revealed by KNH. All right, and of course that is on the second page of the Standard. And then, the elections as well on page 4 of the Standard, which reads Kenya Kwanza and Azimio face off in Senate election today. All right. And of course, IEBC has distributed ballot boxes and other election materials to 1,373 polling stations. All right. And of course, the candidates made final pitches to voters on Tuesday in the race to succeed Wetangula, who resigned following, again, his appointment as the National Assembly Speaker. All right. And of course, the Electoral Commission has affirmed its readiness to conduct Bungoma senatorial by-elections that has actually attracted 11 candidates. And according to an IEBC official, that is Grace Rono, says, so far, you have behaved well, and I hope that the last day for campaigns was on Tuesday. So should we spot you at any rallies, we will act against you. And of course, this is a warning again to the politicians and those ones who are running for the same. And of course, the demands that we talked about, the 10 demands that ODM leader, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga has, as far as the president is concerned. So many other things, and of course, among them fuel and unga subsidies as well. And according to the, Hustler Fund demand, which, he says the Azimio leaders have asked their supporters not to repay the Hustler loan that was launched a week ago at an annual interest rate of 8%. So they're saying do not pay back. Once you take it, that's it. All right. And of course, elsewhere, the project that is the 30 billion shillings Rail City project that we talked about on the Daily Nation. That story is on page 7 of the Standard. And what it says very quickly, the mega transport plan is that the Nairobi Railway City is a combination of Nairobi Integrated Urban Master Plan, Nairobi Transport Master Plan, and Nairobi Commuter Rail Master. All right, and that will take 425 acres. It will sit on 425 acres of government land bordering Landis Road, Uhuru Highway, as well as Bunyala Road and Haile Selassie Avenue as well. And of course, the land is owned by Kenya Railways Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, and other state agencies. So that story is on page 7 of the Standard. And then very quickly, stakeholders split over the state wish to ban boarding primary schools. Remember, like we said, that has, actually supported the ban. But of course, there's other groups who are not in support of the same. That story is on page 8 of the Standard. You might want to, get yourself a copy of the Standard and see, who are supporting and who are against, the whole aspect about boarding schools. Is it safe? Is it not, for all the schools? But remember what we talked about, and that is as far as the Bungoma senatorial race is concerned. Like I said, we have our very own Sydney Chazima, who is live in Bungoma, and of course the Moses Wetangula senatorial position after his appointment as the national speaker was left vacant. So Sydney, if you can hear me this morning, a very good morning to you. I don't know what the situation is like on the ground.
Well, good morning. The situation right here in Bungoma County, where the voting has just begun, we are seeing that matters are a bit slow compared to August, where we had so much activities going on here. Remember, this is the by-election where the residents of Bungoma are coming to exercise their right to vote just to get their new senator. This is after Moses Wetangula was elected as Speaker of the National Assembly. So we are seeing a few people coming in to vote as the polling stations have opened right now. Maybe if I could just speak to you, how are you, sir? Asante sana. Karibu. Unazungumza katika station ya NTV. Na umekuja kupiga kura saa hizi. Na mnamo mwezi wa Agosti ulifika hapa saa ngapi?
Mwezi wa Agosti nilifika hapa saa 10 ya usiku.
Kwa nini unaona ni kama watu wamekuja polepole na mambo hayajaenda haraka kama Agosti?
Mimi nimetoka mbali kidogo, nimeona tu leo hakuna watu wengi kulingana vile nimeona hata huko penye nimetoka huko Kabula huko chini.
Hata mahali umekuwa kuja kuona watu wengi?
Hakuna watu hata umeingia huko.
Okay. Na unaonaje maandalizi yameendaje so far?
Maandalizi kulingana vile mimi naona watu leo wengi walienda nje makazi nini. Na wengi tena wako tupea muda ya kusema leo ni holiday watu wakuje wapige kura.
Unaonelea IBC ingesema kwamba leo ni holiday watu watulie wapige kura?
Wangetupea holiday ndio watu wengi wakuwe free wakuja.
Allow the voters to have time and just get in and vote. So we are currently monitoring the situation on the ground and seeing how things are panning out. And we are told one of the contestants, who is Wafula Wamunyinyi, is just about to vote in one of the polling stations around the county. And we are just going to rush there just to give you a glimpse or a view of what is happening there. Winnie?
All right, thank you very much, Sydney Chazima, very on Sydney, holding fort for us in Bungoma County. And of course, we'll be bringing us more updates as far as the senatorial by-election, which is happening today in Bungoma. And remember, the seat again, like we said, was left vacant after Moses Wetangula, that is Ford Kenya leader, Moses Wetangula was actually elected as the National Assembly Speaker. So that is happening today. 3-horse race, Ford Kenya, UDA, and Azimio la Umoja all have fielded candidates. So we are waiting to see what will come from that, and that is as far as the by-election is concerned. But we're about to take a very quick break. But remember, when we come back, remember we said Thursdays is usually a women's agenda, and today again we'll be talking about something that is very crucial to all the women, and that is as far as the support from the men is concerned, and that is as far as the immunization is concerned. During pregnancy, there's usually a lot of safety conversations surrounding the same. Is it safe to get immunized or vaccinated during pregnancy? Is it not? During COVID-19, we noticed that a number of pregnant women, expressing their concern, is it safe or is it not to get the COVID-19 jab? So that is what we'll be talking about today. And of course, some of the gaps that have been identified as far as vaccination or immunization of pregnant women is concerned, and what more should be done. So that conversation is coming up after the break. Stay with us. This is AM Live.
Any group that is dubbed the Golden Generation, while flattering, is only being set up for failure. After all, the expectation is ultimate success. So when ultimate success is not achieved, the Golden Generation is perceived to have failed. Which is the case for Belgium after its World Cup exit. Its Golden Generation seen as tainted despite so many years of football excellence.
New Sensodyne Repair and Protect with Deep Repair. It's a huge game changer for me. The science is pretty amazing because it really goes deep inside the tooth and repairs tooth sensitivity. It's going to improve the quality of my life in a big way.
On my dark marks, I've tried everything from A to Z, even vitamin C, but hardly any results. Nivea Lumina 630 works from day one, with visible results in just 2 weeks and 71% dark marks reduction in 12. Join the 1 million women already using the #1 Lumina 630 from Nivea.
Karibuni sana, karibuni. Niwauzie?
Ugali matumbo batia mimi.
Ugali matumbo! Na wewe?
Ipe wali maragwe.
Wali? Wewe, mchele madando hapo!
Nilikuwa nataka kaomena na kadoma.
yako tu.
Maisha yako, mapendeleo yako. Tunukiwa na Safaricom. Chagua bei yako ya kupigia simu au data. Piga *444# au utembelee My Safaricom app upate deal poa ya kupiga simu. Uongee zaidi au ubrowse zaidi.
Nataka chapati na crips.
Mala sausage.
Nataka ugali na
Now this is what we call convergence. Come through for the morning fix this and every single Friday right here on MTV. Yes, it's about that time.
You know, the coolest thing about mornings is that a girl and two guys together in the mix, you never know what to expect. You guys are crazy.
From Friday 6, bring your good vibes, bring your picks. From 7 a.m., it's a dope mix. Every single thing on Friday changes with the morning fix.
Fandapilosis catastrophe bwana. Ni Papa Charles hapa. Ati sasa Juni Christmas mumeanza kupanga mafood fight. Yaani vita na chakula. Simuni alikeko tu dakika moja nipanue mdomo watu wanitwange na chapati za pinda sapa kwa mdomo, yani aish. Iko shita hii Christmas. To get Christmas food fight by Papa Jasper, dial *812*805#. Skiza, Nan Nation.
Adapt or die. This is the stark reality we face today as a species. Climate change is happening right before our eyes. And all of the crises we face, this is the big one. And nowhere is it more urgent than here in Africa, where global average temperature increases are forecast to double in many places. Just imagine that. This rich continent will be uninhabitable across vast regions. It doesn't have to be this way though. We can adapt, but time is running out. It is time for action. We have a plan, an African plan, born and bred here. It's the world's biggest climate adaptation program, and it could be a model for the world to follow. My name is Patrick Verkooy, and I am the CEO of the Global Center on Adaptation. And I'm looking forward to telling you more at the Kushi Ideas Festival. Because remember, ideas are where hope begins and the future rises. I'll see you very soon.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. And of course, it's AM Live, and today's all about vaccines and pregnancy, for the women, because like we said, it's important for all of us to have this, knowledge as far as vaccinations or immunization during pregnancy. Is it safe? Is it not? What are some of the things that we need to understand? Because again, the perception and the attitudes, especially as far as vaccination is concerned, it still remains a very, very big issue. And a lot of people are not aware, and especially when it comes to the lactating women. So what do we need to know? Because studies actually show that pregnant women, especially with COVID-19, have a 2.4 times higher risk of needing intensive care, and also 5 times higher risk of death compared to other women with the disease who were not with a child. And mothers dying contribute to Kenya's high maternal and mortality rates, with counties such as Garissa as high as 641 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. But we also have counties who are really doing well, as far as vaccination is concerned. So why the disparity? And what is it that we need to know as far as vaccination is concerned? Well, to help us with that conversation, we have Dr. Isaac Bashir, Head of Family Health at the Ministry of Health. It's so good to see you this morning. Karibu sana. And then we also have Susan Muthoni Mutiria, County Health Promotion Officer from Meru County. How are you doing this morning? All right, and of course we also have Dr. Stephen Mutriwa, who's the Kenya Country Director for Non-Profit, that is JAPIGO, again affiliated with Johns Hopkins University, as well as a medical doctor and a public health specialist. So good to see you this morning. How are you doing?
I'm good.
All right, thank you very much to all of you for coming by today. I know Dr. Isaac was expressing a bit of a concern. It's like women's affairs and we have the men, but again, it's important to have the male involvement, right? As far as some of those things are concerned, and especially when it comes to vaccination, during pregnancy, we need the male to help take the women to the centers for vaccination. But really, let's just start with you, Dr. Isaac. When it comes to vaccination, especially here in the country, how are we doing? Because we see some counties doing really well, but we also have some counties that are really, slacking as far as vaccination is concerned. So in general, in totality, how are we doing before we narrow down to pregnant women?
Thank you, Winnie, and for the question and for the opportunity to share our views with the public. As far as COVID vaccination generally is concerned, there is a very slow pace now compared to when the pandemic was at its peak. And that's naturally can be explained by the fact that people believe that the risk is no longer there, so why would we go? So from a high of 100,000 a day during the campaign to maybe 5,000 to 10,000 per day is what we're vaccinating right now. And therefore, there's some lethargy and more difficult to convince people that we're not out of the woods. 2 weeks ago, I think WHO said that, the mortality has come down by 90%, but the virus is still with us, and it can mutate, and it can come up in another form. And we are losing maybe about 10,000 a week globally. And therefore, the information that we have and the risks that we have undergone over time, when it came, we didn't believe it will come here.
True.
Boom, we found ourselves in the midst of a crisis.
Yeah.
And therefore, the mindset of saying that COVID is gone is what the perception people have. And that's why partially the gusto to go for the vaccination has really come down. But as a ministry, we're still advocating that those who are not vaccinated, please go for your vaccination. Because the risk is still high. And we've realized after we have vaccinated quite a number of people, the mortalities have really come down. The severity of the disease have come down. The ICUs, where we never used to find any bed during the crisis, are all free now. So we have slowed down, but we are going to institute other mechanisms of integrating COVID vaccine into our routine vaccination or routine healthcare programs, rather than the campaigns which are not cost effective and may not yield much more results.
Absolutely. And again, still with COVID, there was a lot of, and especially for pregnant women, there was a lot of concern. Is it safe? Is it not? I mean, there are articles written as far as if a live vaccine is involved, then the risk is higher. So I think majority of the people, took that and ran with it, as far as expressing their concern on vaccinations. But let's just get to hear about Meru County. How are we doing as far as vaccination is concerned?
Okay, thank you. We are doing fine. Though, just like Dr. mentioned, that the relevance is low, in that people believe that COVID is gone, and we want to make them understand that COVID is with us, and people are being infected of the same. What has happened is that people have received the vaccine, and that's why we have seen reduction in severity of infection from the virus. Yes, we understand there are myths and misconceptions that also has affected the uptake of COVID-19 vaccine. And we are telling our community that all what we are getting from all corners about the vaccine, our vaccine is safe, and we are calling for the people that are not vaccinated to get vaccine. And we have enough vaccine in all facilities. And actually to the mothers that have some conceptions or made about the same, we are telling them it is safe, both for the mothers that are breastfeeding and also to them that are pregnant, and also to the entire community, to men, to our youth, that the vaccine is safe.
All right.
Let us get vaccinated.
Where do you see the most resistance?
The resistance is much in youth.
Okay.
The uptake is very low.
All right.
Well, the myth that is among them is that they feel that it may affect their lifestyle, per se, the libido part of it.
There's a whole conversation, the whole conversation around
and
this.
And
thing,
others,
yes.
when you call them to get the vaccine, you hear them say that their children are not out in court.
Okay.
So we are telling them it's better to be vaccinated because it does not affect their life, their libido per se, and the vaccine is safe. Because when you get the virus, the severity part of it, it is much more to the people that have not been vaccinated, because these are the people that you have seen being admitted in severe condition. Unlike those that are vaccinated, the severity of infection is minimal.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And of course, we'll talk more about, you know, the whole vaccination process. What exactly does it do? Because I think majority of the people don't really understand what vaccines, you know, are intended to do. You know, in terms, because we hear, yes, it will protect you, it will keep you safe, but you know, is that all, you know, vaccines do? But let's get to understand, Dr. Stephen, you know, this whole aspect of hesitancy, you know, amongst the people is because, again, information is not there, it's very minimal, or if the information is there, majority of the times we see it is not the correct information as far as vaccines are concerned. So when you talk about healthcare providers, for example, and their role in terms of making sure that, you know, they have a better understanding as far as vaccine, and also, you know, disseminating that information to the people. What would you say we are at as far as the healthcare providers?
So thank you very much. I think the main thing, especially with the COVID pandemic, when it came, the main concern was that when a new intervention comes in, when it is being studied, usually is not, a lot of times it's not ethical to do it on pregnant women or on children. So we don't have information to tell us how the risk level of this intervention. But when you look at the pandemic, a lot of our health workers are nurses, the bulk, and a lot of them are female. So when we begin to say they cannot be protected, you can imagine what will happen to them when they are providing the services.
The services, yeah.
And whether you are pregnant or not pregnant, but you have potential, the moment you begin to hear this vaccine is not safe for pregnancy, even if you'll get pregnant 2 years down the line, you would want to keep away from it. So that becomes important. And then at the same time, these health workers are the ones that are now passing the information and the services to the women. So if they don't have the right information, it becomes a big issue. So what we did is we did a study where we went to talk to the different stakeholders, and especially health workers, the policymakers, you know, and the community. We talked to the women and we talked to their partners. And we wanted to know what are the issues, what are the extensive issues. And one of the things that came out very strongly is that when you talk to the mothers, you talk to, you know, faith leaders, they say when we go to the facility, what the health worker will tell us, we trust it.
Sure.
You know, and that's what we are going to follow. So that just emphasizes, if this health worker doesn't have the right information, then you can imagine that spreads out to the community. And when you talk to the health workers, I think initially the issues were, first, the information about the vaccine was that it is not safe for pregnant women and breastfeeding women. So, and there were direction on how to do that. Then now slowly the information began to change. So there was a bit of confusion in terms of what information to pass and what to provide. And therefore we saw it was important that we develop materials that are going to empower the other workers so that they have like fact sheets that they can run through very fast and know what to do, and they have the tools when they are providing those services. So currently that is what we'll be doing to launch those tools. We went through a process of testing them so that at least we are equipping the other workers, and when the mother comes there, then they get the right information.
Yeah. And you see, majority of the times, like you're saying, people would trust healthcare workers because wanasema madaktari wamesoma zaidi. Kwa hivyo they know, they know all those things. So it's very easy for people to trust them,
There's also the concept, Winnie, of health workers not just talking out of their mind.
Okay.
You must have some evidence before you talk.
True.
We are not politicians or any other person who will just say, well, go for this, because it has implications.
Yeah.
The trust that is bestowed upon the health workers must be protected at all times. And therefore, the evidence for the safety of the vaccine during pregnancy came a bit late, globally.
Okay.
And remember when COVID came, nobody knew nothing. And therefore, we were just grappling and expecting to create evidences from every center of the world. And now that it has been found to be safe, we may not have tested these vaccines on pregnant women before, but during the pandemic, several countries have been following the pregnant women that have been vaccinated. I think Brazil had the highest number of 1 million women, and there was nothing, no adverse effects. And that's when WHO gave the direction. We move on. So the information initially was
came in very late.
Yes, initially was that, well, let's see and wait. But the second wave actually hit us a lot, and a lot of pregnant women died during the second wave in this country. And that's the time when we give the policy direction to allow the health workers. But the information has already gone in, you know. Once some negative information goes in, it's very difficult to undo that.
Yes. Yeah,
That's
and we saw that a lot. And even with COVID in itself, we were learning, like I think all of us were learning along the way. The healthcare, practitioners, government agencies, we the people, everybody was learning, as we go, because again, we were never want, it just came, it hit us, and we're all trying to figure out, things and all that. So we could understand why, the hesitancy was there. But the thing is, once the leaders took the vaccine, a lot of people, actually went and got the vaccine. So there was a lot of influence as far as the leaders are concerned. I think it goes what you were saying, Dr. Stephen, that people trust, people in sort of like authority in terms of what they say is what goes, and people will follow. All right, and before we talk about then, the different immunization programs, especially as far as, pregnant women are concerned, all the way to until they give birth. And of course, we talked about COVID very quickly. Just a quick reminder about the ongoing by-election in Bungoma, where what we're told right now is that the former Kandui Member of Parliament, that is Wafula Omunyinyi, is actually voting right now, and he's actually flying on the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition flag. So he is voting right now. So just a matter of you, to remind you what is happening right now in Bungoma. The by-elections are ongoing. 3 candidates have been fielded, all from from UDA, from Ford Kenya, and we also have from One Kenya, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. All right, and that's Wafula Omunyinyi is actually voting in. Let's listen into what he's saying, and then we'll come back with the conversation.
Kwa mnamo Agosti. Asante, najua kwanza hii ni by election na si kitu nahusu nchi mzima, ni hii county peke yake. Ndio naamini kwa sababu haikufanywa kwa holiday, but vile tunaona kweli turnout iko very low. Naona hakuna queue yoyote hapa, This is one of the biggest polling stations in this ward, with about 1,600 votes, honorably in a car. I have casted my vote just now. Na nataka kuwaomba, wapiga kura, wananchi wajitokeze kwa wingi, to come out in large numbers to exercise their right, to choose. Naamini tumefanya kampeni ya kutosha, tumetembea, tumefikia watu wengi, and we hope that ile moyo, ile kujisikia kwamba hawajakuwa wakipata haki wakipiga kura haitaadhiri vibaya hii election ya leo. There have been the feeling that hata mtu akipiga kura haina maana sasa, because of what has been happening, the loss of confidence in the IEBC, the credibility, and it's the thing that we've been talking to them about. We're just hoping that that feeling does not affect this process today, and that we hope people will come out. Since this is just one election, inakuwa easy also. Hata watu kama ni wengi, it moves fast because it's just one ballot inapiga kura.
So far, how would you rate IEBC's preparedness for the poll?
Of course, IEBC now has been around for some time. The only challenge that we have with IEBC is they are not being fair. They have been reported to have been meeting candidates, meeting with Tangula and his team. They have favored some side. That failure to play arbiter, fair arbiter, has been the issue. The question of preparedness doesn't really matter very much, because now we've been growing. As a country, democracy has been growing. But it's just a question of credibility. The officers of IEBC not playing their role. That has been the issue.
All right. Asante sana mheshimiwa. I wish you all the best.
Asante sana.
What have you put in place to ensure that you deter any malpractice
All right, our very own Sydney Chazima holding fort for us, and of course the ongoing by-elections where that was former Kandui Member of Parliament Wafula Wamunyinyi, who again is flying on the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition flag, and he just cast his vote and asking all the members, all the electorate rather, to show up in large numbers and vote. We had this issue, during the general election where, low voter turnout in different parts of the country was reported, and of course what we're experiencing today in Bungoma. But again, it's only 7 a.m., so let's wait and see if more people will turn out during, the day. And our Sydney Chazima will be giving us more updates from the same. But Susan, let's just get to understand vaccination or immunization, especially during the entire pregnancy journey, especially for women who maybe it's their first time getting pregnant or planning to get pregnant and just need to know, so what are some of this, the vaccination, some of the things that I need to get during the pregnancy. What does that look like?
Okay, thank you. We actually advise our ladies that it is good to plan for pregnancy.
All right.
And that's why we start with the prenatal care, whereby if you are planning to get pregnant, you need to visit our facilities so that you can be guided on how to go about it. And a profile is done, whereby you are pre-tested for qualification. And some vitals that we usually check is about your HB and also other conditions that may affect your pregnancy.
All right.
Then from there, after conception, we advise all women who have conceived to visit our facility or antenatal care in good time, because we have been finding that some mothers come to our facilities in late stages, especially at 6 months, because they want to reduce the number of times that they are going to come to our facility.
Okay.
Of which we advise them to start immediately, so that we can do other analysis that are required and do antenatal profile, so that we can have various examination done or investigations done, so that we can identify the status of the mother and the fetus so that we can have safe delivery.
All right.
Because in antenatal profile, we usually do random blood sugar, we do hypertension, screening. We also do screening for TB, we screen for malaria, we screen also for syphilis, we screen for HIV and other conditions.
All right.
So you find that when mother comes to the facility in the ready stage, we are not able to get that mother on board and also to prevent any other rising conditions that may affect the mother and also the baby. Same case, we give a vaccine like the tetanus toxin so that we can prevent the mother from the risk of getting the tetanus disease. The other thing we do or we encourage is that the mother needs to deliver in the facility so that now we can have a safe delivery and we can reduce maternal or the fetal death in case, especially which occurs most of the time, the mothers will deliver at home, and also we can reduce the infection, like HIV infection to the mothers that are delivered at home by unskilled attendants.
Okay.
In that case, we ensure that our mother is safe and the mother is safe. There is the other thing that we encourage about the postnatal care. The care that is given after delivery, it has been found that most of the mother may die due to hemorrhages or bleeding after delivery, which may go unnoticed. And that case, it is captured in good time, and also the baby is also investigated for any other condition that may be arising, and the two are taken good care. Now, when you look at the vaccine that we give to our mother, we keep on saying that it is something that has been tested and approved. There is no way we can give something that is not tested because our main goal is to make sure that our mothers are safe and also the community is safe. And that's why we are backing this in our mind, and it's also to the community that as we believe the healthcare workers, we also need to brief what the government is giving us, because the intention is not to kill anybody, but to bring everybody on board and to ensure that everybody has got a good health. And we are saying that health is wealth. When our nation is healthy, we are all health. The other thing is that we are reminding our community that when you get a vaccine, be tetanus, toxoid, or the COVID-19 vaccine, this vaccine are meant to boost the immunity of the mother. For example, the COVID-19 vaccine, when you receive it, your immunity is boosted in that in case you get the infection, the severity of the condition does not harm you much, because your body is boosted in a way that it is able to fight the virus or any condition that may be coming or may be affecting your body. In that you are able to fight the virus that are affecting you, and also it ensures that the baby is also safe, and also it ensures that you deliver safely, because we know that when the mother is pregnant, immunity is down. Even to those that are breastfeeding, immunity is down, because we have two people that are feeding on the same. So we boost the immunity by giving the vaccine, and that's why I'm saying it is safe. And in terms of myths and misconception, many people thought that when you give this vaccine, it may affect the baby, or it may reduce the flow of milk, and others may say, they were saying that it may hinder or it may affect the fertility rate to the people that have not been that have not conceived or that have no children. But the key message is that it has been approved, tested, that it is safe to those that are not breastfeeding, to those that are planning to conceive, and to those that are also breastfeeding.
Okay, I see that. And the whole question about planning for pregnancy, majority of the times, people just realize they're pregnant, like 3 months in. You realize, hiya, I am pregnant. So one might ask, so when in such a case, is it too late because sort of like did not prepare yourself for pregnancy, did not prepare your womb and just did all the checks. So is it too late for someone who realizes, listen, I'm 3 months pregnant already and I don't know? We'll come back to you for an answer on the same. But Dr. Stephen, again, the whole question about, and especially COVID-19 vaccine and the amount of time that it took, to come up with a vaccine, a lot of people would say, less than a year and we had a vaccine, and yet these other vaccines took like 10 years, some to more than 5 years to come up with the vaccine. So is this one of the reasons, again from the data that you collected, is this one of the reasons that sparked hesitancy amongst the people, aside from the fertility question?
Yeah, it's interesting and is also understandable, because when we have a new disease, no one knows about it, everyone would want to say something about it. And if a medication or even vaccine comes out, it will also come with all that information. But I think what we need to remember, before we had the COVID pandemic, for more than 20 years we have been managing the HIV pandemic, which basically has involved strengthening the health system and strengthening the upward system, like for drug procurement and development, the vaccine. So we were lucky that when the COVID pandemic came, it found that we had experience in managing a pandemic. And therefore, it was not going to take us the same period. It's like applying those principles, because these are public health principles, infectious diseases principles, and we applied the same. And therefore, this took shorter, because equipment and knowledge and experience was already there. So it was not going to take us like 20 years like HIV has done. And we are still working on the HIV vaccine. The malaria vaccine took much longer, because those diseases found us very unprepared. But at least the COVID pandemic came when we had a bit of experience. So that's the background. But interestingly, that didn't come out as much when we were talking, because we were focusing mainly on the pregnant mother, the breastfeeding mother. And it's more about how does it affect my reproductive health, how, if I take it and I'm pregnant, is it even going to worsen my situation? So the issues of, the severity of the sickness when I take the vaccine, and the issues that I can even lose my life. And when you have a pregnant woman, it's a whole family. The partner is concerned, the community is actually concerned, the mother herself, she has all those fears. So, the element of I better wait and give birth, and then now I can take it.
Go get the vaccine.
Those were like the key things. And then, so we actually had to talk not only to the mother and the partner, but also the community where she lives in. Because if we don't know what the community thinks about this vaccine, that's where the mother is going back. And she's going to be hearing all those things. So we had to collect that information and then now develop like a response. So that this will enable us to be able to move together with the community, so that they understand why are we doing this, what is the best way of doing it, and where will it lead us, so that we walk together the journey.
That's true. That's true. And Dr. Isaac as well, understandably, some of these concerns, especially from the pregnant women, about their safety and the safety of their children as well. So that what exactly is the ministry doing in terms of, making sure that the correct information, number one, is there, but also guarantee the safety, of the vaccine, and of course, in this case, COVID-19, which is, the recent pandemic that we still here with us. So that, assuring the safety.
Well, Winnie, first of all, we must congratulate our health workers and our government in terms of handling the COVID pandemic. Our health systems were not strong, but we immediately bounced into action and put mechanisms in place. The coordination was super. It was all government, all community, all citizens affair. And therefore, we had technical people, the Kenya National Immunization Technical Advisory Group, and also the National Vaccine Safety Advisory Committee. These are experts in this country that will sit, review the global evidence as it comes on a daily basis, and advise. So as far as the safety of our pregnant women or lactating women is concerned on this COVID vaccine, we had issued policies. Or remember, sometimes we change policies midstream. Maybe even after 2 weeks we change based on the information that comes out.
Yeah.
And therefore, even the development of vaccination was fast-tracked because of the high mortality.
Yeah.
We've never seen such kind of a disease in the world. And therefore, WHO had to issue what's called emergency use license. Ideally, this development of this should take longer to confirm. You do it in pregnant women, you do it in different age sets, you do it in the animals, and then you come to human being. But this was fast-tracked. One, because the technology was available,
advanced,
and we could use that platform of the technology. And secondly, the mortality was not tolerable. Anything was better than COVID.
Nothing, yeah.
So as a ministry, we have put mechanisms in place, and we have provided the guidance to our health workers. One thing that suffered was the essential health services. We closed all our health facilities in the panic mode. And remember, biology was continuing. Mothers were delivering. People were getting pregnant. Kids were getting sick. And we have closed our facilities. Where were they to go? So immediately, using the technologies available without, and then there was lockdown. We could not even go to those counties.
Sure.
Using those the available technology, we developed our own guidelines, very fast, online, daily meetings of almost 10 hours online. And then we became one of the first countries in Africa that developed guidelines on how to maintain essential health services. Seeing that COVID is not going anytime soon, how are we going to handle our pregnant mothers? Is our mortality increasing? Is the reproductive health and maternal and child health suffering because of COVID? We moved all our resources to COVID, all our health workers to COVID. We closed our facilities. Then the guidelines that we developed help us. At least COVID will be outside the facility and the facilities to continue, and all the other measures that were in place. So as far as the ministry is concerned, we've provided the guidelines. Maybe the pregnant woman's guidelines came a bit late because we wanted to confirm that what we are giving to our mothers is actually safe and confirmed. Yeah.
Absolutely. So quantifying that, you know, what impact would you say, you know, this guidelines and all the measures that, you know, the ministry had to take just to make sure that, you know, the services are ongoing, but also keep the health facility as safe as possible, and especially for the pregnant women, you know, and, you know, and their babies. How would you say the impact was, or still is, as of now?
Well, I think we're very good now.
All right.
Well, I don't know, maybe because the pandemic itself is low, and we are seeing few cases. Sometimes it comes up, but it's the milder form.
Right.
Why? Because there's a hard immunity that we wanted to achieve. That some people got the COVID mildly and got protected. Others got the vaccine, and therefore this combined, you get a hard immunity. And then even if the vaccine, the virus is there, there's some protection.
Yeah.
From the severity and from death.
Okay. Have we achieved it yet, the hard immunity? Very quickly before
we are close. We can't. The only thing is that we cannot say that somebody got COVID and then we can use that as a hard immunity, because the immunity you gain from getting COVID wanes very fast.
Sure.
That's why we have the multiple doses and the boosters that we have been advised.
Okay. All right. So let's take a break. But of course, when we come back, you talked about preparing for pregnancy. How far along before you know, we get pregnant, and what are some of the must-have you know, vaccines during, you know, the entire pregnancy? You know, for the women who might not know, are planning to get pregnant, you know, and all the same, and of course the risk of not vaccinating, you know, a population. Dr. Stephen, what does that pose, you know, to everybody, and even the global space as well? But if you are watching us and still have concerns as far as vaccines in pregnancy, if you are vaccinated during pregnancy, again, feel free to engage with us and share your story with us. If you have not, still have concerns, again, feel free to also share your concerns with us. You can call in live, and of course the panel will answer all your questions as far as vaccination is concerned during pregnancy. But all that is coming up after the break. Stay with us. See you shortly.
Centum Real Estate offers you an opportunity to own a home in a serene environment. Talk to us today on 0713 877 777 or text 2 Rivers to 22365.
New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care. With 5 oils and 5 vitamins. 48-hour nourishment. Helps reduce appearance of stretch marks in just 2 weeks. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care. For your shade of beautiful.
Did you know shorter is better on YouTube Shorts? Stand a chance to win cash or free data every day. Buy the daily YouTube for 10 bundle and stand a chance to win cash or free data every day. Buy the YouTube for 10 bob bundle. Create a YouTube short with a hashtag shorter is better. Best video with the most likes stands a chance to win weekly cash prizes.
Kenya's petroleum industry has proven resilient even as the sector has come under the weight of a series of shocks, including the disruption of supply chains brought about by COVID-19 and spillovers from the Russia-Ukraine war, which have occasioned a general escalation of costs in the operating environment. How can stakeholders further advance the gains realized in future-proofing this sector? How can the policy environment be designed to facilitate investment and promote growth of the sector? With the new petroleum pricing regulations now gazetted, what do they portend for the industry? Join us live on the 8th of December between 2 and 3:30 p.m. as NTV hosts a Nation Leadership Forum placing the spotlight on emerging issues in this sector.
Next on Daring Abroad, how COVID-19 made Dallas-based Kenyan restaurant owner Mumbi Baskin rethink her business strategy.
I didn't realize that I had all my eggs in one basket until COVID came.
And why she had to go bigger on technology.
Online orders had started picking up, so we had to up our game.
On our Back Home segment, the growing impact of remittances from abroad.
Our Diaspora Circle, we invest through Cooperative Bank.
And the role of Cooperative Bank through its diaspora banking services.
We have strategic agents in different parts of the world. Customers can access their accounts anywhere in the world.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
Kikosi cha NTV kimekita kambi katika kaunti ya Tana River kukufahamisha mengi kuhusu yale yanayopatikana hapa, ikiwemo tamaduni za kuridhisha nafsi, maisha ya wafugaji, miongoni mwa sekta mbalimbali za kiuchumi kama vile utalii, kilimo na hata biashara.
Kuna mahali inaitwa Miembeni huko chini kabisa. Ni mahali mzuri sana, kuna upepo mzuri, baridi kabisa, mnaweza pumzika.
Kwa muda mwingi uzoefu ni kwamba tunaalikwa sehemu zingine sisi, lakini this time tuna furaha ya kwamba tumealika watu. Kuna ngoma za kitamaduni, hata mimi utanipata huko.
Kuna vitu vingi sana, nadhani mtajionea.
Wanu wakini wewe uchila hano Tana River, kwa hivyo wageni karibuni.
Karibuni Tana River.
On this week's episode of The Best Of.
It's like a
a spa and shave all rolled into one. Manly shave with a blade.
We are on the cutting edge of grooming.
I'm charging you 1,500 for a beard shave is because the products I'm using are also premium.
We showcase the trendsetters, trusted by trendsetters.
In 2015, nearly participated in a competition and I win a Barber of the Year. And nearly Volkswagen come up here as Stylist of the Year.
And we cut to the chase on the chairs of the best of barbers.
Go is about thriving, reaching for the stars. It's about exploring new ideas, securely and safely, from the palm of your hands. It's go time with M-Pesa Go.
Welcome back. Glad you're still with us. The show is AM Live, and today's all about vaccines and pregnancy. And of course, we're addressing all the misconceptions and disinformation and misinformation as far as vaccines, especially during pregnancy, is concerned, and what we need to know. And of course, this is information that we need to have, all of us, just to make sure that we do not spread, the wrong information as far as vaccine is concerned. Of course, to help us with that conversation, we have Dr. Stephen Mutwiwa, who's the Kenya Country Director for JAPIGO. We also have Dr. Isaac Bashir, Head of Family Health at the Ministry of Health, as well as Susan Muthoni Mutiria, who's the County Health Promotion Officer from Meru County. And Susan, very quickly, we're talking about preconception and why it is important for someone to go to a facility and, get sort of like prepare yourself for pregnancy, which, like we said, majority of the times does not happen. You find out 3 months, 6 months, down the, okay, 6 months might be a bit of a stretch. Let's just say 3 months, that you're pregnant and you don't know what to do. So can we just understand, so how long do you need to go to a facility to get all the checks done? And why is it so important to do so?
Okay, thank you. It is important to plan. We all understand most of the time, ladies, we find ourselves in need. But we can plan. Why do we need to plan? Number one, we plan so that we can have a conception that is done at the right time. For example, when you are dealing with a client, like them that have got some conditions like HIV/AIDS, and this candidate would like to conceive, that mother needs to ensure that he adheres to the drugs and also to the guidelines that are given by the healthcare worker, so that we can ensure that at the end of the day, the viral load is low, so that you can have a conception and deliver to a child who is free from HIV/AIDS.
All right.
To that case, you find that if you just get into it without a plan and without the guidance from the medical officer, you find that at the end of the day, we'll have an increased number of children that are suffering from HIV/AIDS.
Right. Okay.
The other thing, we need to plan for this mother so that we can avoid some conditions like spinal bifida, megacephaly, and other conditions that are got during formation of the kid, so that the mother can be advised on what to take, on the drugs that is not supposed to take in that preparation, or when he is in it or after conception.
All right.
For example, we advise the mothers that have got low HB or the anemic to take more folic and also vitamin B12, so that we can have a good child or a baby that is formed without any complications like spinal bifida. In that case, that when the mother conceives, is able to do a push or to deliver without struggle, just like in Daktari, mentioned. The other thing, the reason to why we need to plan, it is because when you get an unwanted pregnancy, we end up our mother going to a depression. And you find that the mother may decline to take the baby, and the others may say that this baby is not mine. We usually call them unwanted pregnancy. We usually have other people, after they deliver, they kill their baby, others conducting abortion, you see. So when we start with our mothers, with our Ngundi work plan, we make sure that the process is achieved well, and we have eliminated other necessary conditions that we could have eliminated before the conception. The cases like in diabetes, we know there are conditions like we call the gestation diabetes that occurs after the mother has conceived. So in that case, we're able to identify them in good time when the mothers come to the hospital in good time. The other thing is that if you are diabetic or hypertensive, you start adhering to high-risk clinic even when you get pregnant. So to the mothers that are hypertensive and DDM, we usually ensure that we have managed these conditions before they get pregnancy. So we ensure that every bond is brought in bond, and we are not forgetting to say that we need to bring our men on board so that we can support our mothers to deliver safely in the hospital. We encourage them to go to hospital because, like in our case, we could find that it is the mother who is only carrying the baby after conception, taking the whole process alone, and bring the child to their father. And we are saying that when both people are brought on board, even after the mother has conceived, they are able to greet the child and say, good morning, how are you? And the child will feel the love for the mother and the father, because everybody is brought in the bond and the acceptance. And it is found that even to the mother emotionally, he is supported and encouraged, and is able to deliver safely, even without taking long time or having a long labor pain. It goes well with that kind of mother. So preparation is the key to the mother, but to them that find themselves they are in age, we encourage them. Once you realize that you are pregnant, just start. At that moment, it is not late, so that now we can counsel you to avoid those other kind of depressions that mothers get when they realize that I am pregnant and I did not prepare for this, so that we can bring them on board and reduce those kind of traumas.
All right, but in severe cases, and especially when it comes to the depression and all those things in severe cases. So Dr. Stevie, then what is it that the women, especially from the study, that the pregnant women need or needed at that time, and the men, where is their role then? I mean, Susan just mentioned it is important for these men to also accompany their wives, or their partners for, these clinics and also for their vaccination. But then again, what exactly do these women need, and where and how can then, the men come in support?
Actually, their biggest need is the support. From the health worker, because what the health worker will tell them, they believe it. From their partner, because if their partner is not for a certain idea, whether it is going to the clinic, whether it's getting the vaccine, that woman is unlikely to get it or to go for it. And then the opinion leaders within the community, there are certain people that really the women respect, whether it's a religious leader, whether it is a family mother-in-law and that kind of thing. So they need that support, and those people need to have the right information so that they are able to provide that support. Otherwise, this woman, as much as she may feel that she needs this, but if the partner is not very open to it, if mother-in-law is not very open to it, then she will end up not following that. When they get to the facility, then they need to find an equipped health worker who is now going to kind of clarify all these myths and fears and reassure her that what she's getting is safe for her and her baby, and this is actually, for our good. And we need to understand what is the end game that we are looking for. We want, at the end of the day, to have a healthy live mother
Sure.
who has a healthy live baby. You need to talk to women who have lost their pregnancies, their babies, and you'll see the trauma that they go through. So the idea is to make sure we can avoid that. The same thing, if a baby loses the mother when he or she is born, that baby has like twice a chance of dying even before they turn 5. So that's why we really need this mother and this baby healthy and alive.
That's true.
Because you know, if you lose the mother, that baby is at very high risk of dying. But even the other babies in the family, and the entire family just gets totally distorted. So that's why it's very important that we take these things very seriously.
All right. Okay. And Dr. Isaac, as far as then the policy and guidelines as far as vaccination or immunization for pregnant women, what are the must vaccines that, you know, a pregnant woman should receive at the facility? What should not be given, you know, at a facility, especially during pregnancy, so that again we reduce the mortality and morbidity rates in the country?
First of all, the routine vaccination in the nation right now is for pregnancy is tetanus.
All right.
And this is usually tetanus is a killer of the baby. And initially we didn't know where our mothers will deliver, but now we know about 80% of our mothers deliver in a sort of a health facility or under skilled care. 10 years ago, before devolution, maybe our skilled birth attendant was in the 40s or 50s. Right now we've done some progress. Still we're struggling with the quality of care, but tetanus toxoid is the vaccine that we give to our mothers as a priority. If we get them preconceptually and we test them for hepatitis and they are negative and maybe their partner is positive, then we vaccinate them. So the routine vaccination for pregnant women at the moment that is mandatory is tetanus.
Tetanus, yeah.
And after certain numbers of vaccines, we can excuse them. Because every pregnancy, the first pregnancy, they take 2 doses, second pregnancy, maybe another 1 dose, 2 doses, like that. Maybe if you go to third, fourth pregnancy, you may not require.
All right.
And that is the scenario. The preconceptual concept is a bit not well taken up in the country. And that's what we, as a public health practitioners, as a nation, we want to encourage our people to plan. And you've seen how Susan had enumerated all the issues that can happen. And when a mother delivers safely, first thing the husband or the family says, well, she's delivered, mother and baby are safe. That is the vision that we want for every mother and every child to have. But we're not there. Our target for the SDGs is 70 maternal mortality per 100,000 live births. As a nation, we are 355 now. And this is concerning. Well, we are not alone. We are maybe one of the Africa, what do you call Sub-Saharan Africa, the best of Sub-Saharan African countries. But that is, as you mentioned, Garissa has maybe double that. Mandera has double that. And the disparity itself, the inequity in health service delivery is what we are struggling as a nation. And devolution of health services may be a blessing if we take it well and ensure that our mothers get quality of care.
Yeah. All right. And Susan, identifying all, you know, these reasons and all these gaps, you know, as far as the low uptake when it comes to vaccines, right? And especially in Meru County, since you are from Meru County. So then what steps would you say you have taken just to make sure that we have all the pregnant women coming to facilities to get their routine, you know, vaccines, but also their routine checks, so that at delivery you have both, like we said, a healthy mother and a healthy baby, all of them alive?
Okay, thank you. In Meru County, everybody is on board.
All right.
And we are ensuring that we have the correct message about the safety of the vaccine. And we are ensuring that the messaging goes to the community level, whereby we are working with the community health volunteers, and we are doing home visits through the community health volunteers. And we have strengthened the referral system, whereby in case they get any condition at their home level, they refer. Some of the community volunteers have been accompanying our mothers and in other a condition that they may get on the board at the ground level to the health facility. We are ensuring that the messaging goes even to the churches, whereby we have brought the faith-based organization through their leader to, we have done several stakeholders meeting, whereby we have sensitized them and we have given them the correct message that is related to the vaccine and other conditions, because we are suffering from triple threat issues, and we are ensuring that we are reaching everybody through the media, our local media.
All right.
We have several local medias that we are getting airtime from that side, and we are really campaigning for the same.
All right.
With having
Has
the
that improved?
Yeah.
Has it improved?
Yeah, it has improved.
Okay.
Yeah, we are not where we were. We have improved, like in vaccination level. We are now at 36%.
All right.
And everybody is positive about it. And also, we have also, through the advocacy, our leaders, they are still on board and they have been vaccinated. Like when we are doing the campaigns, we usually have our leaders on board, but they are our key influencers, whereby they receive the vaccine. And like last time when we were doing the campaign, our CEC received the third booster. When they see that, they can see that the vaccine is safe, their leaders are taking,
so
the religious leaders are taking,
okay.
The care workers still, they are preaching the same gospel. From the local medias and the national media, still they are speaking the same language. With that kind of advocacy, we are changing the community and the nation per se.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And Dr. Stephen, we talked about how important the support is, and especially from the men. But the thing is, the men themselves, you know, the health-seeking behavior is a little bit wanting, you know, as compared to the women. Even from the recent, you know, from the data that is COVID-19, 2.7 million, you know, women, is it? Yes, women, and 1.5 million male. You know, the huge gap over there. So then how do we encourage you know, men to, you know, improve on their health-seeking behavior so that it's easier for them to support their partner, and especially when it comes to, you know, the hospital visits, vaccination, you know, and the immunization as well?
Yeah, dealing with men is not easy because I think there is the socialization aspect where you're supposed to be giving support and not be receiving support a lot of the time. So it sounds like when you are going to the hospital, you are submitting to someone to help you, which is not like the natural way we are being socialized. But we need to keep talking, you know, we need to keep talking. We need identifying like champions, you know, men who have supported their women, men who have gone out and you know, when we use the leaders to demonstrate, get the vaccine, do this, you know, it kind of encourages that everyone needs this. Because if that talk is not going to be there, then a lot of time you will find diseases are discovered very late, and men are culprits of that, whether it is high blood pressure, whether it is blood sugar, or even cancer. They get it discovered when it is so late, and there's very little you can do. So we need to know, you know, what we call the natural cause of a disease. A lot of times, the disease begins when we can't see it and we can't feel it. That's why you'll hear out there in the community, someone is told even when they are walking, well, ukiingia hospitali, upimwe sahi utapatwa na so many diseases, you know, there is usually that talk. Because,
it's like what you don't know what's kill you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we need to know that diseases, by the time they show the symptoms and we feel the pain or we can't walk, it might actually be late. So it's better when we use, you know, the opportunity to get to be screened, to to be checked so that we capture it when it is early. I mean, a lot of these diseases, high blood pressure and all that, if it is managed well and controlled, then you can live a normal life. But if now you're not being checked, then we will discover when your kidney is failing, or even when you have stroke, or even when you... So we just need to change that and know the fact that I'm just walking and breathing doesn't mean that I'm totally healthy. And if I'm checked, it increases the chance that I'm going to live longer and quality life. So we need that conversation, and especially if we can have the social champions who can actually demonstrate that this is important even for men.
Yeah,
this actually brings the concept of self-care.
All right.
Where it is not just the responsibility of the health worker to take care of the population, but the population themselves at individual level is enabled, empowered to take care of themselves. Like going for these checkups, this information, and when you get to know how to manage your sugars, the doctor can only give you guidance, but you are the one who live with yourself the whole day, the whole night. You can measure yourself, you can be told how to take your medications, you can be told how to reverse even diabetes type 2 these days. So the self-care concept to reduce the workload also on the health system itself is a new mantra that we are, as a ministry, we are rolling out. And the guidelines are almost ready. And this is what WHO is also helping us take up. So you take, your health is your responsibility. You take it upon yourself, and you are empowered just by information and guidance.
All right, because I think majority of the times the approach is usually, if it doesn't hurt, we're not going to a hospital. So screening is very low. You know, we don't even someone like with a toothache, right? It's very painful, but until you can't bear the pain anymore, it's when we go to a hospital. I like just going for your dental visits and getting that checked. If something is wrong, you get that sorted.
There's also the aspect where, you know, someone feels that I was just okay before I was told, now I'm in this trouble. But I don't conceptualize that it's because now it's been caught when it is late. If it had been caught when it was early, you would have lived probably near normal life. So it shouldn't be scaring when it is discovered, but you need to know if it could have been discovered much earlier, then it would have been managed.
There's also the natural psychological defense mechanism of denial. Of having a chronic condition. When you're told you have diabetes or hypertension, you will be in denial for some time. And maybe when you are being found it's too late, and you still are in denial. You need somebody to take you through the process. That this can be handled, you don't have to take it out of context, and you don't have to go into depression. Because with that denial, any other thing, psychological problems can come, and the situation gets worse. It's natural to deny a chronic illness.
And allowing yourself to go through that, you know, the entire process. You know,
you need support.
Totally you can, and you need the support for that. All right, so we need to bring this conversation to a close. Literally have 5 minutes to go. I'm just going to give each of you, you know, a chance to, you know, tie down the conversation as far as vaccination and pregnancy is concerned. Dr. Isaac, you said we're not there yet. You know, as a country, we still have, you know, milestones to go through. So what is it? What will it take for us to get there, and how soon or not do you see us getting there?
Well, our vision is to have everybody be involved and to set aside this mindset of saying COVID is gone and we no longer require the vaccination. Come back to the fold. COVID can come back anytime or in a different shape. Our pregnant women are at higher risk. You just mentioned that they are higher risk of dying under severity of the disease. And of course, when you lose a mother, the whole family becomes completely disrupted and destroyed. And therefore, as a ministry, we are mainstreaming this COVID vaccine to be part of the routine, so that whenever you go to any health facility anywhere in the country, you will find the COVID vaccine is ready, and all our health workers are trained, and it is safe. The issue of safety now is should no longer be on the table, because we have enough numbers now to confirm that there are no adverse effects, whether it's preterm labor, preterm delivery, or stillbirth, or whatever that comes as a result of the COVID vaccination. Therefore, we want our population to understand that it's coming from a safe place and it's available. We are even going ahead and putting cold chain mechanism to have in the remote areas, to have even the Pfizer, which requires ultra cold chain systems, to be in place. So the government is making the right investments. The county governments are on board, and we would just want this message to be going through that. If you're going for tetanus, go for COVID vaccine.
Yeah. Do you see us getting to a point where COVID-19 vaccine will be like mandatory, especially for pregnant women?
Well, it's voluntary.
Okay.
It can't be mandatory.
Right.
It goes now beyond the human rights concept.
I mean,
but we encourage, and we really encourage that they go because of the safetiness.
Absolutely, absolutely. Safety first, like we said. You know, your health. Take care of yourself. Thank you very much, Dr. Isaac. Susan, what will it take for us to get there? Meru County, 36% vaccinated. You know, when do you see Meru County getting to 90%? You know, vaccinated, and majority of, you know, pregnant women also getting for their routine vaccines?
Okay, actually, Meru County, we are moving step by step.
All right.
And we are trusting God will get somewhere.
All right.
In terms of messaging, it is quite viral. That's why we thank our partner Japiego, because we were involved in developing materials for giving the facts to the healthcare workers, and also the message, the material which has got a message that can communicate to the pregnant mother and also to the breastfeeding mother about the safety of the vaccine. And the community themselves were involved in decision making, and they embraced and they gave the input on the same. So we know that when they get the feedback for what was their input on that material, they will take the vaccine, and then also the message will be clear to them about their safety and other myths and misconception. Or I mean, the rate will decline because they will have the fact on board. And about the Meru involvement, in fact, there is an activity that we were doing in the month of April to October, where we were involved in our partners, that is the UMAM, whereby we are going to the Mira Shend, the churches, to a community dialogue groups through our GCVs, and we were educating them on the importance of involving male in maternal and child health, whereby we ended all uptake of the prenatal and the antenatal and the postnatal care. We find that we went a shoot up of the same, because they gave the moral support, the financial support, and also the psychological support
as well.
And the depression rate also went down. So it is achievable, it is undoable once we have the clear message with us and the correct information given the right time to the right people in the right manner.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Dr. Stephen, study was done, everything was done. How do we move on from there?
So first, I think what I'll say is, you know, vaccine have always been with us. Our mothers took us to the clinic to get vaccines and all that. They were less educated, but you know, they did the right thing. So we shouldn't think like this is a strange thing. And like Dr. Bashir says, by the time you develop vaccine and allow it to get to the community and the public, it has gone through rigorous checks and regulation and all that. Both at you know, development level, at the global level, and even when it comes to the country, like you mentioned, there is a whole group of experts that look at it before it can be allowed to flow, just to make sure that our community is safe and all that. The other thing I'll say, you know, the principle of vaccine, behind vaccine, is you want to get a critical number of people in the population vaccinated. Otherwise, if you don't get that, we still stand the risk, because we want to make sure, like, if she is not vaccinated, she is interacting with majority of people who are vaccinated. If the ones who are not vaccinated are more, then the flare of the disease, that chance increases. So that's why if I'm not taking it, I'm not endangering myself alone, but also, you know, the people I'm interacting with. So that is the idea. We get to that critical level where then that disease has no chance of flaring up again. And the materials we develop, there is poster for community, because the community needs to get all this information. It has facts about the disease and the vaccine and, you know, all the issues that they raised about safety and all that. And then there is the one now to support the health worker when they are providing the service.
The services, because we all need, you know, the same kind of support. But the healthcare worker and as well as the general population have the correct information as far as vaccines are concerned, and let's get vaccinated.
Yeah, exactly.
In short, thank you very much, Dr. Stephen Mutua, the Kenya Country Director, that is JAPAGO, as well as Dr. Isaac Bashir, Head of Family Health at the Ministry of Health, and Susan Muthoni Mutiria, County Health Promotion Officer, Meru County. Lady, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming by today. Someone was actually saying on Twitter that people have moved on, from COVID. Why are we still having COVID-19 conversation right now? But the fact that our numbers are relatively low, just recently we saw the numbers again coming up, it doesn't mean we're out of the woods. So the more people are vaccinated, the better for all of us. So we have to end it here. Thank you very much for your time this morning. And thank you for staying with us as well until the end of the conversation. AM Live, we close it now, but do not go too far because your world is coming up in the next few minutes. And of course, the conversation will be all about addressing violence against women and girls in the context of humanitarian response and emergencies. What is all that about? Well, find out after the short break. See you shortly.